Right, so it's not that I'm assigning blame to anyone, but Alice kind of broke my M16. So yes, this week we are going to be having a look at the internals of my Cyma CM009 and figuring out what has gone wrong. Anyway, I'm just going to cut myself off there and jump on in quickly and say, if you enjoy the content on this channel and you haven't already, please do consider subscribing. It really does help out, help the channel grow, help more people see these videos, and also gives me a nice little ego boost. Anyway, enough of me whoring myself out, let's jump on back into this. I've used this now for, well, I've had it now for about a year, a bit less than a year, and I've used it for numerous game days. I put several thousand rounds through it, and I've really enjoyed it. And other people have enjoyed it too. And in this certain case, this was the last game I was playing before Lockdown 3.0 happened here in the UK. Alice was playing with it, loving it, enjoying it. And then she came out to me and said it's not working, which was a bit annoying. I thought the battery had died, but no. And upon inspection back here, the trigger, by the way, no battery in here, this rifle is completely safe. The trigger doesn't make the micro switch clicking noise that it used to. So my hunch is that the micro switch itself has either broken or jammed in one position, so it's not, you know, micro switching. So let's tear this down and have a look. I'm going to speed this process up for you guys because you've all seen me tear this down before, so I will rejoin you when the gearbox is open and we can see the MOSFET. See you in a moment. Right, so you join me for the moment of truth where we're going to open it up and find out what's going on inside the gearbox. So let's crack on. And we're open. Right, let's have a look and see what's going on. That micro switch has microed its last switch by the looks of it. What it looks like is that switch has been pushed in and it's not reset, so either I'd be surprised if it's got enough current in it to fuse it. You know what, let's take the gears out. Right, so I am using my multimeter here. I'm going to set it into what is called continuity mode. I've set it so it beeps. So this should beep every time I get an electrical connection. So my theory is this MOSFET has fused closed for the MOSFET. Wow, okay, that switch seems to be working again. If that's working, why isn't the rifle working? Maybe it was jammed and me prodding it, I've freed it up. Let us do a test. I have the motor connected up correctly. Okay. Okay, well that's working again. So, next test, can we get it to work all in the gearbox? Okay, let's hook the motor back up. Hook the battery up. I hate when you turn. Well, that seems to be working again. So as I thought, it was either going to be the switch had completely died or the switch had jammed. So that looks like it was a jam and me prodding it has reset it. Pucker. So be aware, this can happen on these rifles. Again, you're paying less than £200 and you're getting a metal bodied receiver, a decent gearbox, quick change spring guide and a MOSFET. Obviously they are going to make some compromises there, so they are not going to be, you know, your Titan standard internal MOSFET, but still it's a decent gun. It does have its little foibles like this, but V2 gearbox, not that hard to get out. Took me 5 minutes, may take other people longer or less time, and just a bit fiddly. And now I'm going to put it all back together and make sure it still works. So probably another time lapse. Right, well, the gearbox is back together, but before I put it back in the body, I just want to make sure that the trigger still works and that we can still spin up the motor. So let us hook in positive, negative, and then mini tam, and then we're all good. Disconnect that. Disconnect that and disconnect that. Right, let's get on with putting it back into the body and testing it again. Right, so that's the gearbox reinstalled into the low receiver. Motor should be all hooked up, so hopefully if I hook in the battery now, we get the tone. So in semi. Very screechy sounding, but that is working. We fixed that. It is a very deliberate pull. It's not a light tap, and you can't change the length of pull. You have to mod the trigger to do that. So that's fine. It works. It's all good. Just got to remember to pull that trigger all the way through. So I might as well show you putting the rest of the parts back on, but it's fairly straightforward. Let's just do that now anyway. Pucker. Right, that's the M16 back together. So if you have a Cyma V2 based gun, so any of their AR platforms that has a MOSFET in it, and it suddenly stops responding to trigger pulls, odds are you've not lost the MOSFET quite yet. Take it apart, have a little fiddle with that trigger switch, and hopefully you can rebreathe some life into it, like I have done here with the M16A1. And if that doesn't work for you and that MOSFET is toast because that micro switch has died, then fear not, because it is standard V2 trigger switch compatible. So you can pick up these for tuppence and wire in a MOSFET into that. So if you do go down the route of replacing your MOSFET in this with a standard trigger carriage and an inline FET like a Gate Nano AAB, then you're still only looking at around the £200 mark once that's all taken into account, because this plus an AAB, 20 to 30 quid, this 170 to 180 quid, and an hour's work, and you've got it back up and running again, and that will last you for a long while because those gate MOSFETs are rather reliable. So that pretty much wraps up this week's video. The long and the short of it is, well, yes, the MOSFETs in these are very cheap, and the micro switch they use are probably the cheapest of the cheap that fit that profile, so they are going to fail at some point. However, I personally am not too fussed about that, because this is, well, for the price I paid, I was expecting a shell where I'm going to have to replace all the parts. But the gearbox casing itself is pretty decent. The gears, they're fine. The piston and stuff, that's all fine. It just needs a bit of greasing and maybe new O-rings. And that MOSFET, well, that was, I didn't even know I was getting it when I ordered this gun. And to be honest, for the price I paid, I fully expected it to just be, you know, your standard V2 contacts. So I'm more than happy to replace that MOSFET at some point, whether it be down the route of doing this install and then putting something like a Gate AAB, or even splashing out a bit more fancy, like and getting something like a Titan V2 or a Perrin V2. I don't know. But I hope this video has helped you, and I should amend this onto the review video, so buyer beware and all that. Again, I know I did this at the start, I'm just going to do it once more. If you've enjoyed the video, please do consider subscribing if you're not already, and dropping a like and a comment down below. Any form of interaction really does help boost the channel and help it grow. So I think that about does it for this week, and I will see you all soon. Stay safe.